Hey yo, this is Rashid Nori back at you with another one from King's Court, where queens are raised and kings are born. Today's subject matter is based on something I like to say: what is your life like? Now, two things in that statement alone: your and like. Those two things coincide in that statement. Your like, right? First being your thinking, how you perceive things, how you ingest things, how you take those things you learn and experience and profess them to others. With that, are you seeking the highest and truest expression of yourself? Are you seeking the highest and truest expression of yourself? Now, I want to touch on some things that are key in being able to do so. But first, you have to learn to remove certain aspects that we have acquired outside of the rearing of our mother and father, or in some cases, our grandparents or somebody else that has been giving us guidance and understanding to be a better human being. Those things are, and we both have them, men and women, toxic behavior. Toxic behavior. And that, ladies, toxic behavior for you is the senseless argumentations of things you feel you're right in. And when you find yourself not to be right, you will debate it with all life on life terms, regardless of your being wrong, just so that you can be right at the end of it all. There go that insidious way of being, competing with your man. There's no place in relationships with your man for that. We don't need a competing partner. We need a subservient partner who is a helpmate. A helpmate, not someone who is always trying to beguile us in buffoonery. Someone who is always holding us down and taking into account all that is relevant. Not putting in place all that you want to be relevant. These are dire factors that can harm you and even destroy you. Number two, overcompensation of one's consciousness. And that I mean overstanding, as Rick Ross say. Overstanding. Knowing something, but putting out there the greater cylinder. And I'll say that to say this. We have with you have a cylinder that is half full, and then you have a cylinder that is to the tip top full. Not spilling over yet, but it's to the tip top. And that first cylinder is safety. You can shatter it, push it, it won't spill over. You can even add to it, it won't spill over. So it's the safety there. That's the knowledge that we have and we gain and we utilize to the best of our abilities to be better within ourselves. And then after exposing those factors and being able to act on those in clarity, then we teach it to someone else who may need that understanding. But the other cylinder that's full to the tip top This cylinder has no room for any improvement, has no room for any more understanding. Any bit of understanding added to it, it topples over. Hence, you have a mess at hand. So we have to be mindful of the best note in this fact. The safety cylinder is the cylinder in which you should be upon in your knowledge. Granted, having clarity and understanding is a beautiful thing that every woman is really desirous of in a man. But that man has to have cognizance to understand the importance of sharing knowledge when it's necessary. Gone into the factor of being overbearing. We are not to be overcompensating our knowledge to someone else. I know this because I do it myself sometimes. And it's only because I don't like to be misconstrued in what I'm saying. So I give different scenarios of things that are based around the same exact factor. But at the same time, it can get a person to fall off from even accepting what you're saying, because they don't want to hear a long story. They don't want to really have clarity. They just want to get it over with. Okay, you said what you said, and I'm, then let it go. This is your attitude, ladies, when we're trying to explain something to you or extol some clarity for you. And it's not a good thing. But at the same time, it's not a good thing for a man to exude overcompensation in explanation of something that he's trying to get you to understand. Now, if a man has to do that in order for you to do what is right within the knowledge, and that's getting clarity, then I can understand him doing so, but still in the same, there's a time and a place for everything. So we come to the understanding that it's necessary. It's necessary to try to stay on that safety cylinder, that common ground, the straight and narrow. Fact being, when two people have clear knowledge of something and they're not willing to accept one another's information, it may be from two tracks of understanding, but it's going to the same exact clarity. But because one or the other explains gravely more than the other, the one who is explaining more gravely than the other feel as though that his should be taken or hers should be taken best. Granted, if it's proofs and evidences, no one, neither he nor she, should waver in understanding. Because proof and evidences is just that. Proofs and evidences that what's being said is a fact. Concrete, healed. So, on to the next factor of this. You have that absent emotional. What did I just tell you? Go to your room. Go to your room, I said. The absence of emotion. The absence of emotional. Granted, I know you're saying emotional was three aspects. 1, 2, 3 aspects. And that absence of emotions. And I say emotional because most times we have a shut-off valve when it comes to our emotions. And we do things and say things that is just an exposure of that. For instance, men, something we do when we're triggered and our emotions get involved. being told what to do, or being shut up or shunned in the midst of our explaining something or giving detail of something. Ladies, y'all do this quite often. And that's a trigger for a man. He is not to be shut up or shunned or quieted because you don't want to hear anything at the time. So in that, we'll begin to raise our voice or become a little more forceful. In most cases, I'm not saying with every man. Some men have the cognizance to say, okay, baby, I understand. Just don't talk to me like I'm a child. I'll give you a moment. But when you're ready, please let me know and we can finish the discussion. This is the way that a man should approach any ill-gotten situation with his woman instead of lashing out. Because in actual fact, sometimes a woman is testing you just to see if she can control your emotions. And when she does, trust and believe over a period of time, she'll start to have a less love for you, a less respect for you. Because you're acting out verbally in debate with her about this, it's kind of feminine. Yeah, it's rather feminine. Something else I noticed that I may do, because I like to be right. I like to have things clarified. I like to be, understood. But I had to come to understand that I need to stop doing that. It doesn't make sense to sit and debate and argue with somebody who's already emotionally entwined in things that's not going to accept what you're saying regardless. So it's better, gentlemen, to just stop yourself. Don't go any further. Don't let her get that control over your emotions. Now, I was dealing with my own depression and didn't realize it, so I didn't have a hold on my emotions. Granted, that is nullified now. I'm one that takes muhasabah. In Islam, it's noted as taking to account yourself. So when I find myself in a shortcoming, I try my best to correct it. Whether it takes time, or I can handle it right then and there. Acknowledgement is the key. It is indeed the key. So with that being, that absence of emotion, ladies, we're talking about you now, you have the tendency to deflect while your emotions are in a rut or being heightened. Going to 10 isn't always the best means. I mean, a man wants a queen. Indeed so. Queen is not born. She is definitely raised to the caliber of being a queen. And in that, a queen is identified as one who has cognizance, a level of intelligence about all things around her. This queen also will have with her rationale. She has a clear understanding of things that she knows and can accept from others. She has a rationale to accept a truth from someone else that she doesn't know of her own self. Or at least will have faculties to accept it until she finds otherwise. But she will research and develop understanding so that she have clarity for herself in that matter. Thirdly, she will have control over her emotions in a time of hardship or discord. She will be able to discern her own emotional rut and get a hold of it. Check herself, because a man shouldn't always have to check you. You are grown up. You're supposed to be able to hold firm the control over your emotions. Granted, even though your emotions are a large part of you, but they are your strengths, stop allowing them to be your weaknesses. Or for that much, trying to use it against a man to make a man less of a man and get into argumentation with you so that you can have some control. There goes that factor again of competing. Trying to get up on a man. Or as y'all say, I want to break a nigga. Not a funny thing. Trying to break a man is not a good thing, especially if you have children with that man. It's hard enough out here in this world for us as human beings. And then for a man to have the difficulties that he has to even try to be a strong, positive, protective, providing man. So we don't need to come home and have to deal with the onslaught of your attacks on our intelligence, our intellect, raging war against our spirit on a day-to-day basis. This is not needed, sisters. What's needed is peace. Good, confident word. Some comfort from you. Not dragging into the dirt. Not being called a son of a gun or all the other derogatory words you can find that shows your dismay for this individual. But let's understand, y'all chose one another. So the fight is together, not one-sided. If he has shortcomings, you're supposed to have the dignity to pick up where he is falling short. Or at least the cognizance to be able to give him some understanding so that he can be better with himself. See, your job is to sit back and pay attention to that man and understand that man so that when he falters and falls, you can be there to pick him up and say, baby, I know you can do this. This is why. I understand this about you. This is what I know you can do. I know you can do it. See that incentive, it's important. It's important. See, because we fighting with the world on a daily basis, in and out. So your support, your loving care, your understanding is important. I mean, you always want to be accepted for who you are. Be who you are. A feminine woman. Stop trying to compete with men and be a man. It's not your place. So if most men have that ability within themselves to be men, then let them be men. So with this being, what's your life like? What's your life like? Your like? Is it incompleteness? Is it full? Is it pleasing? What's your life like? Are you in misery? Are you in confusion? Are you always delusional? What's your life like? Do you understand the world you're in? Do you understand your place in the world? Do you know how severe it is for you to take your place? What's your life like? Do you know your place? Do you know what you are and what you're here for? Do you understand how to be better? Do you understand what it takes to become stronger and more effective? What's your life like? Things that one should always take into account in everyday life. Everyday life. If you're not asking yourself these things, if you're not making these things come to fruition, then you are failing yourself. Hey, Christine, welcome. So with that being said, we always have to know what is the next skill that we are to acquire. Like If you have acquired one thing, don't just be stagnant and stay where you are with that. Learn something else. Pick up a book and read. And I'm not talking about no Harlequin or no urban novels all the time. Read something that's going to be of benefit to you, whether it be in business, whether it be a self-help book, whether it be a motivational book. Read something of benefit. And for goodness sakes, don't forget faith. Something that is going to improve your understanding about God. As I always say, and I'm going to continue to say, God must be prevalent in your life. Stop putting the creation in front of you and putting God behind you. Turn that around. Put God in front of you. Put the creation behind you. All success is through that means. Trust me on that one. And then the next being, what is the next, how should I say, what is your next ability? With that being, what is your next ability? And I said that to say this. We take on so many other people in life. See, we identify with other people. We take a part of something we learn from them each and every day. But in the midst of it all, we have tendency to forget who we are. To forget what's our path. Always take into account yourself. Things you learn, whether or not they fit you as an individual. And even in them being applied to yourself, what's not befitting you, or what's not necessarily for you, still keep in hindsight and understanding, because it's clear understanding that you need maybe to help someone else. Trust and believe everything that you experience and go through, God has set it for a reason. So don't just throw away, like some people say, oh man, put the past behind you. Well, clearly the past is already behind you. That's a given. But don't forget it. Don't throw it away. Always acknowledge what you've learned and experienced. It's what will get you through the rest of your entire life. Next, what is your rights? What is your rights? Do you know? Do you know that you have the right to be silent? Nobody can make you talk or collaborate or do anything that you don't want to. You have a right to love. Nobody can stop you from loving. You have a right to live. Nobody can stop you from living except God. But with all those things that you have right to, you have to first understand that you are to give rights to others. Now, this is said to sort of re-edify previous content. You must properly prepare yourself to handle what is going on in your life. If you don't properly prepare yourself for what's going on in your life, you will just go through life not learning anything. So I say again, read, study, manifest clarity in yourself. See, because somebody could tell you something and it could be false, it could be wrongful, and it could be something that's misleading and something that's not for you. So what you do is you take that information, you research that information, you gather understanding of that information, and you profess it in yourself as is befitting. We have too much of a tendency today to go on what we hear someone say, what we see someone do. An example. Hip-hop music isn't hip-hop music any longer. Everything is about an agenda to dupe people and to stand foolish. So, when we gather information and understanding for yourself with clarity, you can't go wrong. No one can mislead you. No one can take you off the given path, and no one can misguide you. All this is only by God's hands. So we have to keep in mind that gathering understanding and clarity is with 2 or 3 things: positive proofs and evidence. Now, the positive factor is something that you discern in yourself whether or not it's positive or negative. But those other 2 is most important. Very prudent. Proofs and evidences. So if you don't have proof to what you're saying, to present evidence to clarify what you're meaning, then be silent. So it's better to tell something that is good and beneficial than to speak a lie. Whether we want to accept it or not, the smallest little thing could be a lie. Oh, there's a roach crawling across the floor. And you don't see nothing, but you just said it, just to be saying it. It's a lie. I don't care how small it is, it's a lie. So note that anything that comes out of your mouth that is untrue, it's a bad deed for you. And note that God is the one that sees all. He hears all. He knows all. So when you get that bad deed, know and understand that you will be judged upon that. So learn how to repent. I spoke about that before. Repentance is important. But to continue, we learn to become better and rise to our best representation. How do we do that? You have to learn first. First preference of the statement. You have to learn first. Going back to what I was saying. Read. Gather understanding. Clarity. So you can experience things and learn clear of something, but still be unclear of the full. So read. Get full understanding. Clarity. So that you can live in positive means, in ways that are beneficial to others. Your best representative is usually the person that you personify. But we have to learn how to be who we are, not what we want others to see. So it goes back to me saying again, every single day, take yourself into account. Constantly rectify your affairs. Learn how to be better. Forget the representative because he's a mask. He or she is a mask that's put on for friends and those outside of them. But you know who you are. So be who you are. It's kind of hard to do that in society today because everybody's trying to be other than themselves. Whether we let the clothes be our representative, the jewelry be our representative, our speech be our representative, but inside we toe up from the flow up. And I'm 10 feet, 10 toes down. But you toe up from the floor up. Your heart is ratchet. Your thinking is wicked. And even to the extent that you don't even take care of your physical well enough. You don't feed yourself properly. You let yourself go. Always remember the representative is okay. He's not the give all and be all. He nor she. A representative is the first protector. Just that. It's a shield to prevent others from harming you. That representative is necessary in some cases in this society. But don't forget who you are, replacing yourself with that representative. I don't know if, on the other hand, I like to present myself as I am. No representatives no more. No more mask here. I'm 53. And anybody who's over 30 shouldn't be trying to put on a mask either. Show who you truly are so that the one who interacts with you can see who you really are. And discern whether or not they want to interact with you any further. See, that's the right that one has over another. I should know who you are from the get-go. There shouldn't be no me having to sitting back and having to look at you in corners and angles and seeing how you maneuver and what you say. And I shouldn't have to analyze to see who you are. I should right off know. But granted, we live in a society today that is kind of wicked. But we have to get better with that and do better with ourselves. So, learn how to use that representative well. Remove him or her from the position in the forefront. Only when you deem it necessary with someone who is being tricky or deceiving. Even with that, just turn away and walk away from them. You don't have to be in the midst of them. See, nobody can make you talk. Nobody can make you do anything. You make conscious decisions to do what's best for you and yours. In some cases, we have our family. All right, so, and continuing, once you receive a full cup in your life expectancy, then give it to others around you and simply who may need it. Hence what I'm doing right now. I believe my cup has not runneth over, but I have a bit of information, understanding, clarity of who I am, where I'm from, and my direction for the future, to try to give some understanding to those of you who will listen and gain understanding from me. With that said, check out the merch. Hopefully you want to purchase, help support, like, share, and comment. And always remember, kings are born, queens are to be raised. Until next time, King's Court, I'm Rashid Nori. I salute you, family. One love.